Look at the world around me. Moving with a greater and greater speed of change. Things and situations whirling around. Something inside of me longs for stability, stillness, simplicity, things I no longer seem able to find outside in people or places. You have to go inside, not just inwards, but upwards. You're going inwards, going upwards, going beyond. Coming inside into a quiet place, point of simplicity, like the eye of a storm, calm, cool, clear. Place where I feel very connected, not to anything outside, not to anyone. I feel very connected to myself, that timeless sense of myself. Beyond abundant aspects of different labels, different roles, different responsibilities, different relationships. Beneath all of them is me, not the human doing, the human being me. Through me and the true nature of the self, calm, connecting with the core of who I am, draws me upwards beyond, where I observe everything out there whirling around. In the context, a bigger picture, there is an order to the chaos, signaling we are all in a time of transformation, time where we all reconnect with the sound. That outer chaos is encouraging inner connection. Realization alone brings stability. Janti, good evening. Welcome to Interviews Around Yogi. Tonight's topic is stability in the midst of instability. And I'm certain that there was quite a few meaningful aspects that was in the commentary, but one of the ones that stood out to me was about simplicity. But I'd like to explore that with respect to stability. But as I've mentioned, I really enjoy the inner fitness sessions that we have because we take something that is quite familiar with souls, very physical, and we create that bridge so that it becomes relevant, useful, practical, and meaningful in a spiritual standpoint. So perhaps, Judy, if you'd like to share a bit about physical stability, what have you noticed in physical fitness, myths, boundaries, and so forth? Mm, I suppose that sometimes physically, stability is connected to what we could call outer strength. So, or outer power, when in fact it's connected to inner strength or deep power. So today was in a conversation about organizations, and very often as organizations evolve, grow, and expand, they seem to become unstable. There can be splintering, different factions, etc. And how to get back to the simplicity of its roots. Very often, what's creating the instability and different factions, fragmentation is the seeking of power, seeking even of simply recognition that complicates things along. So this concept of power is connected to stability, but the question is what kind of power? So someone can be very, very powerful looking in fitness, but needs them to stand on one leg, remain stable. All of that muscle isn't necessarily going to help them. What will is that inner core. So it is power. It is a power. Question is what kind of power? Care about the inner core. I've heard lots of interesting things. I don't know my fitness terms, but like Frenches, sit-ups, and things like that. Six packs, and again, there's a spiritual significance to that. But you've shared with me a lot that the muscles that really are helping stability can't really be seen. So, have you noticed that there are some they are very they're able to at least articulate there's a challenge of trying to really strengthen that which is invisible when there's such a pull for things to sort of be seen as being valued or productive on the outside. And perhaps the first thing that would have to happen, and sometimes it's an injury or crisis that makes it happen, is the realization that I need to develop true stability through the deep stabilizers. And that's what they're called. It's the stabilizers. So once that realization happens, person is, if you will, on board, they're motivated. And then the way we often, one of the easiest ways to approach developing is to put the person in unstable place. So we will use different portable equipment that creates instability, and that's to wake up the deep stabilizers. And what that tells us is that they're there. It's something else is being focused on rather than those. So we really have bounced body into activating what it can activate, what is already there. So if we can just take that in terms of the spiritual significance, what do you feel is the same sort of challenges in terms of what is stability on a spiritual level of our ideas, and strength to courage to faith, maybe even disinterest to be able to really focus on something that is very invisible. Well, this is where it feels like drama is helping us because the concept of power, stability that many of us have been living by is where I have power to control everything out there. So everything feels stable and open. But not in certain very ideal situations we have seen in the world is that we are not able to control everything out there. We feel disempowered. Is what some feels like I feel disempowered. I can't seem to help. I can't seem to do something. Seem to just to solve or resolve. So we're losing this good source of power. It's about controlling everything and everyone out there. Not a bad thing for that to fall apart because it's actually forcing things into really instability. It's tricking us into rediscover, go inside and rediscover the deep stabilizers which are within the cell. This capacity of the spiritual being to detach and be anchored in its own capacities. So that's helping alone. The instability, ironically, is moving us into the deep stabilizers. So, can you share a bit more in terms of what these deep stabilizers are? I know the core of what we were talking about is soul consciousness, but I do find it very interesting when you mentioned about simplicity. It was funny today. We had a class, and it's quite class. It's intentionally about developing that core stability. And the minute I walked in, um, assistant said, "We have it simple." It's like, "We have a meditation." Yeah. And I said, "Can we have it simple?" And I had already decided, because we had to recently in class, there was no time. So I said, "Yes, we're going to keep it very, very simple, and you will get a meditation at the end." And so what happens is that when we slow things down and simplify, we can be more intentional and mindful. What I noticed happening, even if we got to the meditation and it was significant, what I noticed happening is there was a quietness that was coming into the room. And the stillness or silence is the context in spirituality. It helps to feed and strengthen the deep stabilizers. We do this in silence as a quietness. So I noticed the room, even though it was a physical class, I noticed the room becoming more and more quiet. There wasn't a lot of bells and whistles and equipment. It was very simple. So it was actually really complementary to mindful silence and allows one to focus in on slow, simple. So by the time we got to the commentary, they were really quite ready, which was the deepest form of stability. And the feeling at the end of the class was really, really interesting. It was absolutely still. And stillness is the sign of spiritual stability. You feel that there is a capacity to discern when that silence, because we call it spirituality, stillness, silence, is moving in a direction, taking out, zoning out, retreating, because it's something that seems to be very big challenge from whether you've been a long time in the study or not, or you just started out, let's so say, what was the meditation? falling asleep. But what's with your experience, your journey, just were there anything, any sort of suggestions, it's just from your experience of what one needs to focus on, what one needs to sense to know that, oh, I'm moving sort of back into that realm of just checking out, and which is not obviously what we want if we're looking for stability. One maybe indicator and practice, it's both, that I like to focus on to ensure that I'm not checking out is that I see if I can maintain that inner simplicity and stillness while I'm walking and moving around. So I was really fascinated. I'm walking into quite noisy environments, busy environments, just walking down the downtown street. And I was really fascinated by and intrigued. Um, Practice I was doing also involved a connection to God, definitely a connection to my own inner nature, stillness as a soul. So I was using that. So I'm still very plugged into, able to respond to what was going on around me. I didn't need to isolate. I just wasn't disconnecting with myself. So it's ironic. It's so not zoning out. It's a deep connection with what is timeless. Anything that is timeless or eternal, because it's constant, is going to be an anchor or stabilizer. Now, would you say that what creates as a series of thoughts? Is it the thoughts of even true thoughts sort of resonate in a deep way? Because many students, participants who've taken the Raj Yoga course, they often share that they learn some really important pieces of information, but they don't know how to translate it into an actual experience. So this is when I think it really is inner fitness. So imagine a scenario where I go to the gym and I'm going to take a class. The idea, anyways, I'm going to exercise. I walk in and the instructor is there jumping around, queuing, and I'm just standing there listening and I'm not doing anything. It'd be very strange, and I really can't expect any benefit from that. Maybe I'm not going to do really advancing. It is very often what the spiritual practice can become. We're not doing it. Neither soul need to exercise. We even use that language in measuring that the soul is performing more exercising. So we're getting great cueing. Exactly. I am point of consciousness. Nothing here is mine. I am the eternal being. I travel through time because we're getting great cueing. And I like the sound of it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going. So that's the main thing I need to know is which one am I doing? And that will become clear as I walk around, actually, whether I'm developing spiritual muscles. But am I enjoying and listening? We had a comment on this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, talking about that. We had a comment on this in a recent class with a senior that we're at a time when we can spend all day listening to things on YouTube. And it's like eating and eating and eating and eating and not digesting anything. I'm really turned to it. Really with our drinks often. Do I have time where I do what I'm listening to, like I actually exercise? So that's something I need to sort out. I don't think people ever think of it as I say being so much, and that's true. I need to do spiritual exercises. I need to actually go into the experience. So Sister Vivian actually has a question here. Can you explain a bit more on anything timeless that can be an anchor? Mhm. This is really the essence to experience what is timeless, and I have instant stability. So the example that was coming to me, um, imagine that you're out of steam. Someone needs to pull you back to the rope. So they throw you a rope. Let's say that the idea that you grab the rope and then they pull you back in. But what if the rope is not connected to anything on the other side? So I'm just very understood that we feel connected to anything. So we are touching deeply things that are actually drifting. We call them. So they change with time. The body changes, time, relationships change, time. So we're trying to feel okay attaching to things are stable, attaching to things that are with time. So as they, then I will shape. Obviously, I want to attach something that is not painful. It's not going to shift. And we call that timeless. It is consistently this way. So anything is timeless. It also happens to be connected to truth. Anything eternal is constant. It's a great thing. It's not going to move around as you travel through time. So the timeless identity of the self, timeless relationship with your true place of origin, timeless relationship with God, and timeless relationship with time. That's going to really anchor us. That's not going to around us everything temporal does.
Can you share more about this timeless relationship with time?
In essence, it's this idea of standing outside of time. So now I can see the full journey of time, which we call beginning, middle, and end, right? With this big perspective. So I know exactly what is going on. I understand why things are happening. And this comes down to micro and day to day. Had a beautiful conversation this morning. It really touched me. We say everything that happens is good. That doesn't really set the heart unless I have a timeless relationship with time. Again, it's not a story. So then I can say, oh, I understand why everything's happening. So the soul, mm, I was they were in class, it was their sister, who they also tend to bring to class, but was not there. I said, "Are they okay?" And another time, they just broke their hand. I don't know, my goodness. Um, and so what happened? This is a good thing. What happened is that the doctors were saying it wasn't healing at the speed it ideally should. And the reason is because the circulation was not good. And the reason the circulation was not good is because this person smokes. Right? Paying would stop smoking. Now that wasn't going to happen always, but because there's so much, this is so annoying. This broken hand is so annoying. Something incredibly annoying. But it might be the only way it would have. So, seeing this beautiful movement of time, everything, beginning, middle, and end, it's all wonderful. It's all so interconnected. One cannot exist or be meaningful without the other. Having a timeless perspective of time, which means I feel so very stable gratitude. Everything is beneficial. Everything's fine.
And this, but there was something you had shared in one of the earlier questions. And we're talking about the physical, this physical aspect of stability. And you were sharing that usually it takes an injury that really inspires a certain sense of change. And why I'm bringing this up is about it inspires something to be able to do things correctly. But my question is about being able to sustain that inspiration. You know, some sort of injury happened and it inspires some sort of change in terms of physical fitness, whatever it was the case. But that's definitely the same parallel in terms of spirituality. And sometimes we use the word disinterest, I suppose, in terms of that. So, an increased disinterest in smoking because of just the complications with the hand. Do you feel is required to sustain that disinterest in spirituality, to not go for the show, or because the pulls can be so strong at times, and it's not like one wants to. It's just always something inside that has so much to do with self-worth.
This is where it gets interesting and very different concept of love. And the highest form of love is to benefit or uplift, because what's going to be required is discipline. And everyone has different feelings about that word, but it is part of love. It is sustaining what is beneficial, discipline. So I'm going to have some disciplines in place. It could be disciplines such as program, a very clear structure of revising that realization. I need to revise it, record it, keep studying it. I need to have structures or resources in place that encourage or speed the change. So, some will put a sign up saying, if you start smoking again, your circulation will complete it. Whatever the case, it could be something that overt, but some sort of discipline and structure is needed. I feel incredibly fortunate and grateful. The study of graduate comes with quite a structured and disciplined lifestyle. You are not just given a textbook and away you go and do whatever, but it's a whole looking at our entire lifestyle. And some might feel that's extreme, but it's actually essential. We're talking about, really letting go of quite addictive ways of operating. I have the realization I have to treat maybe it's a crisis, it usually is. This is going to be very simple. Need to be something gross, could be something in the heart that just doesn't go away and becomes increasingly long. And so I realized then to sustain that second, make it, say, to stabilize in that realization, I'm going to need to realize I needed some disciplines in place, some structures and resources that anticipate what sort of resistance is going to come up.
So, of course, we're running late. But just one question, last question regarding this in terms of having structure, discipline. How would you explain or describe what's going on inside in terms of this phrase to resist that which resists within you? To be able to continue to honor that discipline, practically speaking, not just something you think about, but again, I think about being able to sustain one's momentum.
This connects to the idea of a timeless experience of time. What's really important is the realization of self, that whatever consciousness or awareness I am in very much shapes my attitudes, and that will really shape my thoughts and feelings. So I could try to violently battle against that resistance from a very unworthy place, not really realizing the self, and I'll get so far. But if I really kind of, it's like someone coming up and saying, you're the delusion. And I take it on. Now I'm operating from a different place where I have really kind of inner power. against that resistance. The resistance formerly overwhelmed me because I thought I was very small. It turns out to say I'm a soul, to say I'm a child of God, to say that we're intrinsically good, to really again do these awareness, take them in, they're going to put me in a much more powerful place. Those old stuff will come up, but I'm in a new place to respond to it. So that's really important.
Well, thank you. Very useful, practical topic, especially when it comes to just really looking inside, see what we're actually doing in the study of Raja Yoga. So thank you, Sister Beauty, for your question. And so perhaps we'll have a little reflection.
A handful, simple but profound qualities that are eternal in every human soul. They're always there. Sometimes they are dormant, hidden under many layers of acquired behavior. They're always there. And one of them is power, not the power connected to force or violence, but the power to maintain an elevated state of the self, the power to sustain personal dignity. This is a deep form of stability that no matter what happens outside, I am not only okay, I am sacred, I am pure, I am noble, I am benevolent, I am elevated. I come inside, a still place inside where the only feeling experience is of the self, not the body, not the relationships, but just pure me, I, being. And at that moment, we become aware of how sacred life really is, how sacred I am. I am life. I am the living being, filled with all the qualities that I've been seeking outside. To have that single experience, water it with attention any moment I can. It's creating power, a power of personal dignity. It will keep me stable when it's tuned. Thinking, thinking. I see there's a request from Sister Benny to our group 2. And yes, indeed, we can honor that for next Tuesday. We just wanted to let souls know to please save the date for, I believe it's Saturday, December 30th for our annual New Year's Eve program. So we just sent that out by email, but save the dates. It'll be in the evening, 6:30 to 7, 6:30 to 8:30. And so we will have program details and registration details coming soon. And of course, our usual drop-in sessions that we have online and on-site, inner fitness for those who would love to join on Saturdays at 12:30 to 1:15. And we also have the drop-in sessions on the Mondays at the Inner Peace Center. So even on holidays, except for big ones like New Year's and Christmas, I believe that the Inner Peace Center is aiming to keep the center open for these sessions. And so please just find more information about any events
drop-in sessions, online on-sites on the center's website. Thank you for joining. Om Shanti.